Hey everybody, I'm Shauna Sever of thepieceofcakeblog.com, and today I'm showing you how to make a great yellow cupcake recipe. So this is what you need to make cupcakes: 3 cups of all-purpose flour, a tablespoon of baking powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 2 sticks of unsalted butter, you want this at room temperature, 2 cups of granulated sugar, 4 large eggs, 1 cup of whole milk, and 1 tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. So into this bowl, we're gonna put 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and I've got a sifter set over a large bowl here, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And we're gonna sift all this together into a nice large bowl and make sure that there's no little lumps in your flour. And once we've got that all sifted together, we can just put our dry ingredients to the side and get started on the next step of our cake recipe, which is really an important step whenever you're making a cake from scratch, and that's creaming together the butter and the sugar. So into my mixer bowl, I'm gonna put 2 sticks of unsalted butter at room temperature. Very important that it's nice and soft so that everything incorporates evenly. And then into the bowl, we're also gonna put 2 cups of granulated sugar. And we're gonna get this going first on low speed, just to get everything together, and then we can crank it up to medium. And we're gonna just get this going until it's nice and light and fluffy. And that's looking good. We can start adding in our 4 large eggs one at a time. We want to make sure that each one gets blended in before we add the next one. And here we go, number 4. And that looks great. Now it's time to scrape down the bowl and get the rest of our ingredients. Lift this up and we're gonna scrape down the bowl to make sure that there's nothing on the bottom of the bowl, that everything's nicely incorporated. And this is really a key to great cupcakes, because cupcakes are so tiny. You wanna make sure that the batter is as smooth as possible, because any little pockets of melted butter that show up during baking or little bits of egg that aren't mixed in show up as these huge holes in your cupcakes. So you wanna make sure that you really get everything all scraped in and really well blended. So now that that's done, we can get the rest of our ingredients together. And into the whole milk, we're just gonna put our tablespoon of vanilla extract. Give that a little whisk. So now this is the point in the recipe where we start to incorporate our flour mixture, our dry ingredients, and our milk mixture. And there's a couple key things you have to remember when you're doing that, because you don't want to overmix with the flour. You want to do things really delicately. So let's get it started on the lowest speed that you can. And I'm going to put in about 1/3 of the flour. Let me get that going on low speed. And when the flour is almost all the way into the batter, we can add about 1/3 of our milk mixture. Get a little bit of splash, but that's okay. All right, and now when that's going, we can put in another 1/3 of flour. It's also good to do this on low speed so you don't get a poof of flour all over your kitchen. I know this from experience. And another 1/3 of our milk. Okay, and then in goes the last 1/3 of our flour and the last of our milk. Woo! Okay, so we're gonna stop the mixer. As soon as our wet and dry ingredients are in here, we can finish mixing by hand. And that's a good tip, because that will keep your batter from being over-mixed and make sure that you get, and like I said, we can give this a final stir by hand, making sure that you get the bottom of the bowl, everything scraped, to make sure all your butter, your sugar, nothing is clinging to the sides of the bowl. And this is a really lovely, light, homemade cupcake batter. So let's get our cupcake tins ready. And I've got my oven heated to 425 degrees. So now we're gonna start portioning out our batter. One way to make sure that all of your cupcakes come out evenly is to make sure they're all the same size, right? So I like to use an ice cream scoop to help me do that. And I just get a little bit of batter into my scoop, and boop, right into the cupcake liner. Super simple. And using this ice cream scoop makes everything really easy. You get the right portion size in every cupcake liner. So I'm gonna put these in the oven. Something you wanna remember when you're making cupcakes is to put the pans in the oven in the upper and lower third if you're baking 2 pans at a time. Halfway through baking, you wanna rotate the pans from top to bottom and front to back to make sure that all the cupcakes are baking evenly. So our cupcakes have been baking for about 20 minutes. So these have been cooling for about a minute in the pan, and I'm gonna remove these to a wire rack to cool completely. And these look great. They're lightly golden on top. They smell really delicious of vanilla. And now you know how to make a great cupcake. Thanks for watching.